Bye. All depends on your attitude design. Yeah. So, but the point is, you're looking for, a great housing for yourself with a secure garage, up. And there's no inventory. They're not for sale. And the reason is people didn't want to sell their houses because they had a really good interest rate on their mortgage. Well, then guess what also has been happening? The property tax has gone up. And also, that happens more gradually during reassessment. But it's the homeowners insurance has gone way up, like California and Florida. And so if you read into the Wall Street Journal story, it's like we're starting to see price cuts, but people like you are still looking at the interest rate and what that does to your payment. And as soon as you buy that place, the property tax is going to reassess at the transaction, which that's up. And then the homeowners insurance is up. So what you have is everything is up. It's not just this, but the first, I believe, and I connect with Bill Pulte, who's, president, the director, of Fannie Mae, and doing a great job in Washington. And he's been saying we need interest rates to come down a little bit so we can get the market moving a little bit. If we can get one of the things to move, get the interest rates to move, so more people could afford the payment with the property tax, with the insurance, maybe we could get this market going. But the Wall Street Journal here is just saying, yeah, home prices at record high, that's dragging down the sales. Okay, but there were some price cuts starting to happen. But the truth is, the number of transactions is at a still way low. In other words, you can say this is up a percent, that's up a percent, that's down a percent, but you can play games with percents. Words talk, numbers scream. Percents don't tell the whole story, but they're part of the numbers. It's the number of transactions just aren't happening because overall it's a housing affordability crisis. That's what the issue is. And prices are up because the great houses are still selling, not briskly, but they're selling at higher prices.
So what does it mean?
It means that the market right now, there's not really a market for buyers right now. They need more things to be on a market at a moderated price. So when they buy that house, then the property tax is more moderated.
Do you think sellers today, Rob, what is the number of, do you remember the number, Tom, on how much cash people had during COVID? How we reached a all-time high of 2.4 trillion of cash, and it went all the way down to 1.4 trillion.
That's right.
What is the cash people have today?
And then the other alignment with that was the total amount of credit card debt that we went
That's right.
down to 700 billion, and we blew it.
1.1 trillion or
And
whatever.
we blew it right past 1.1 trillion when the government said 2022, everybody can go out and play.
No, what is the right way to ask the question? Because a lot of this matters. If I'm a buyer, this is the number I'm looking at.
What is the federal government statistic on total savings? And this will be coming from, I think it's St. Louis Fed that used to keep this. Actually, I'm sure of it. It's St. Louis Fed used to keep statistics on consumer savings and total credit card debt.
This number matters the most because during COVID, I remember the chart that they said during COVID, is it showing it to you? During COVID, they showed that the total cash during COVID showed that total cash American.
There's one stat that the AMS, average monthly savings, is 496. People are saving about $500. But what is total reserve, like total savings reserves for Americans? Average saver balance is is that it? $7,460.
That's not what I'm looking at. What I'm trying to find out is because if cash is low and I'm a buyer, fine. Yeah, I'd be curious in how much cash people have. Listen, because if the liquid cash we have right now is super low, then guess what? It's a good time to go buy because sellers need cash. But if the cash in hand people have right now is at an all-time high, nobody's going to be selling. The leverage isn't on you. So it becomes a very awkward time where sellers are willing to sell, but they're not motivated seller for the most part. So anytime I'm trying to buy something, I'll ask, is the seller motivated? They're motivated, but they're not desperate. Okay, well, what does that really mean? So you're not really fully motivated. Everybody's motivated, right? But not at the levels of wanting to drop the price by $50,000 or $100,000, depending on the price of the house. So a lot of that matters with the amount of cash that we have at hand. At least a couple of years ago, it was tough because everybody was greedy. Adam.
Well, I'm not going to make any realtor friends by saying what I'm about to say, but the most overrated investment you can possibly make is buying a house. I'm not saying it's a bad investment. I'm not saying you're going to lose money. I'm saying it's the most overrated investment. So let's play a little game here, Vinny, because you've been asking about buying a house here for a second. If you're going to buy $1 million house, put down a little down payment, put down 50 grand, you're a veteran. Okay.
I have the VA loan.
There you go. So right now, interest rate 6%, whatever it may be, 30-year mortgage. In 30 years, you say, all right, I bought this house for $1 million. How much do you think you actually spent and paid for that house?
On the actual house?
30 years from now,
Okay.
how much did you spend?
Is it less than half?
What do you mean less than
Like 500,000. Like the house is $1 million.
Yes. How much did you spend on that $1 million house?
Like actually on the house, 750,000.
Well, you didn't spend 750 because it cost $1 million.
So
It's more than $1 million. Yes.
It's more than $1 million.
Yeah.
How much?
$2 million.
I don't want that.
Well, you buy $1 million house, 6% interest rate, 30-year mortgage, boom, 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 do the math. You're going to spend $2 million on that $1 million asset. Do you understand what I'm saying right now? You don't, Vinny, don't buy a freaking house, bro.
That's all you have to
Okay.
say. What the hell
Yes.
are you doing freaking Jeopardy mortgages?
How
over
much
here?
did you spend on $1 million house? 750. No, you're spending more than $1 million because you have to basically make payments. And
Of
on
course,
your
there's
payments,
interest.
there's interest
Of
on your
course, I know
payments.
that.
Over 30 years, your $1 million house is going to cost you $2 million. Double it, double it, double it. That's my point. So for young people out there, this is my message to you: don't buy a house. If you're young, you're single, you're working on your career, you're working on starting a business, you're not married, you don't have kids, you're working on your life, don't buy a house. I totally understand if you're established, you have a family, you have kids, you know where you're going to live for the next decade, you may want to consider buying a house. 100% if that's who you are. If you're young, you're single, bro, keep your flexibility high and your overhead low. Work on your career, work on your business, work on yourself. Don't get lied to and confused by the realtor association saying that renting is throwing away money. It's only throwing away money if you don't save that money, and use the difference to invest that money. I know plenty of realtors who rent
I don't know any financial
Well,
advisors
listen,
that don't own stocks.
let me tell you what I
Do
found
the
out.
math on
Let
that.
me tell you what I found out yesterday for the very first time.
Tell me.
I found out that our governor doesn't own a home or a car. Do you know Governor DeSantis doesn't own a house or a car?
Smart guy.
Is on there his life? Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
It's weird. Did you
Well,
know
you
that?
know
Tom?
why?
I did not know that.
If you Google, does Ron DeSantis own a house or a car?
He doesn't
Watch
need
this.
to.
No,
He doesn't own
that's what
a car, but his wife is a sporty little model.
Jesus, Tom.
Okay, so that was inappropriate, but let's go back to this. So yeah, he doesn't, no private home, okay? Does not own any private real estate, and doesn't own a car.
What does
They
his
use the
401k look
company-
like?
There's no public record, 7% owned registered private vehicle. No public record of DeSantis personally owning a private vehicle.
What's
It's
wrong
kinda-
with that, though?
No, but it's kind of weird for a governor to not own. You ought to be.
I don't think so.
Well, I understand you don't think so
Yeah,
because
you
you're like the
of all
anomaly.
people.
But
No,
what I'm saying
but,
to you
but
is,
maybe he's onto something.
it's very tough for you to want others to be optimistic about home ownership in your state while you're not. It's like when I went and bought a Ford, I bought it from this guy named Jaime Godina. Every once in a while, I give this guy a shout out. I bought a few Fords from him. We bought it for our family, and I've always referred over to him a bunch of people. He sold me an Expedition. He sold me a Focus or an Expedition. But I'm like, what do you drive? Oh, I drive an Expedition. What do you have? Product of the product. I don't know. The idea of people, I did an interview 2011, Rob. If you go to Denver Post by David,
Yeah.
Denver Post by David, I'm wearing this beautiful orange sweater. Ghetto, look at that.
Look at that.
Oh, that's from Gap.
Other true
Oh,
religion.
Kojami didn't show up. Benim
Oh.
Gap.
But hang on.
I
sailed on that
religion
Emirates.
jeans. Look at that sporty little model.
Oh my goodness, embarrassing.
Look at those. Look at
Okay,
those.
zoom out a little bit. Let me see when the story
And
was.
what was the
written.
article?
When was it written?
April
Rob?
28th,
20
2016.
Okay, 2016. So 10 years ago. And
Let me see the title of the article, Rob.
I don't think that's 2016.
Home buying.
No, because
Go with
2016, I'm
cold,
already in
clear
Cal- in
logic and
Texas.
rent.
This is not 2016.
It says updated, so it doesn't
Yeah,
have
oh,
the
okay.
original.
It's up there. No, the original is 2012.
We talked about
2011.
this article,
Yeah.
but I don't
So
remember.
if you go up there, the story says what?
Rent.
Home buying. Go with cold, clear logic and rent. I mean, I am for the renting if you're building something up. And that's what I did. I had $500,000 cash in 2009, and I said I'm going to put it into business instead of buying a house. And 4 years later, I bought a house. And then that made me money, and then I flipped and went and bought a house in Plano. That made me money, and then we eventually moved out here. And when we moved to Florida, we first rented for the first 6 months, and then we bought a house. And we bought a small little house, very small little condo is what we bought. Just a,
You got that small
Yeah.
little house here in
yeah. Okay, so
Fort Lauderdale now.
so it all depends on the home ownership. I just thought it was very interesting that the
But
governor doesn't own a house or a car.
Can I give you one more piece of insight? Because I fully agree with you that if you're building something, you should rent and you could use basically the difference to build your business. I would make the argument that you don't have to be building a business, you could be building yourself. You are your own business, you are your number one asset. The number one.
Adam, I got the argument. I'm moving on to the next story. I'm thinking you're telling me some inside scoop you have on why the DeSantis doesn't own a house and you're telling me you're building
Well, no,
yourself.
PVD, I'm not going
I-
to let you just bulldoze
I
my argument
get
here
it.
for a second.
I
Because
understand
there's a lot
what
of
you're
people out
saying.
there that don't.
Adam, I understand what you're saying.
You do because you're
You're
smart.
45 years old. You don't own a house or
I'm
a
a
car.
fucking multimillionaire.
Yeah, you're not a multimillionaire. You're not sitting there like absolutely on top of the world. The average person isn't you. The average person isn't you.
But they can be me.
No, that's not the best life.
Says who?
Says who?
You say you're having millions in the bank is not a good thing?
You think the fear of commitment to building
No.
something?
Okay,
No. What?
What are you about to say?
Go on, what are you about to say?
What are you about to say?
Why don't you
Because it's way better to rent.
for who?
For me,
You think for you it's better to rent?
100%.
You think it's good for
Because
you?
I'll give you numbers.
Yeah.
Because
Listen,
I've taken
I will
all the
agree.
money.
I will
Yes.
agree. It's better for all of us that you're not driving. That
Yes.
part, I'm
That's-
fully with you.
we're on the same
So,
page
folks, I don't think it's a good idea. But
Because I've taken all the money I've saved and I bought Bitcoin. I've invested into my 401k.
Yeah.
I've invested into ETFs. I've invested into index funds. And the money I would have made buying, which historically is what, 3 to 5%, I've made 10, 20, 50, 100%.
Yeah, I got
That's
you.
math,
Yeah,
BBD.
that-
You're a stats guy, you're a math guy.
America
Tell me
is
where I
not
went wrong.
You.
And America,
Let me ask
and
you-
America's broke.
Let me ask you a
Most
question.
Americans are
Let
dumb,
me-
fat, broke, losers,
Let me ask you a
and they're
question.
trying to improve.
Okay,
And I'm
are
giving
you-
them
are you-
solutions, and you're like, no,
Are you
buy
are
a
you
house.
Ever,
Well, you just said don't buy
are
a
you
house.
ever planning on owning a home?
Eventually, yes.
Why is that?
Eventually,
No. But when will your argument be right?
well, from a numbers perspective, it might never be right.
Okay, perfect.
But from
I
an
would much
emotional
rather-
perspective,
I would much rather have you keep that argument and not contradict yourself. So tell me,
I've been very clear on
will
this,
you
sir.
Will you ever own a car?
If my wife wants me to buy her a car, yeah, we got to take some
Or will
kids
you
around.
ever own a car for you?
Maybe, but it's not a top priority.
Why would you buy a car for you? Stop it.
To piss you off.
Yeah. Why would you buy a car? Because the argument
I'm not
is,
anti buying a car. I do. It's funny how I love the breakdown that you did. It just came out on Valuetainment about why to do a prenup, why not to do a prenup. I love what you did there, because what you did is you drew out the numbers, and you said, all right, so you want to have 4 kids, you want to have private school. How much is your mortgage? How much is your house? And you did the math. And I love that about what you did, that you did math. Most people cannot afford a house with a mortgage, with kids, with 2 cars in the garage, with food, with groceries, with insurance. The math don't math. And things have shifted so astronomically in America today that you're just going to be broke if you keep perpetuating the same bullshit. Get a mortgage, get your house and a car. I'm not saying you're perpetuating that, but most people are broke. Most people are paycheck to paycheck because they're following the old rules of life. Times have changed.
our audience that watches whatever we talk about here, okay? The average person who's minimum wage, I guarantee you they're not watching a podcast. A minimum wage person would hate our podcast.
Probably is.
A minimum wage person hates people like us. The person who's begging to raise minimum wage, they're not going to like a podcast like this. They're going to be sitting here saying, I can't stand what these guys are talking about. That's what they're going to say. But the people that are watching, they want to grow. For a phase, I get it, to rent. I wrote the article. I said what I stood for. Then, when later on, when you decide to have a family, wife and kids, security matters, community matters, protection matters, many different things matter, finances matters, write-offs matter. There's a lot of other arguments on the opposite side.
I made that argument. I said if you're young and single, don't do it. If you're married and have a family, you might want to consider it.
Young and
Did I not say that?
Bro, you're not young.
I'm giving advice to people out
You're
there.
saying if you're young and
You
single.
don't think we have 25-year-olds that are watching this being like, I'm thinking about buying a
19
house.
years away from getting Social Security. This guy, you understand what I just said to you? You're 19 years away from getting Social Security.
So what you want to do
And 19
is
minutes
what
from
you
having
want
an
to do.
aneurysm.
So BBD,
No.
what you want to do is make it about me. It's not about Adam. Adam's doing freaking great. I'm talking about the 25-year-old there, the 30-year-old out there who's like, should I buy a place? No, Hector, keep your money. Save that money.
With the 25-year-old. I am with the 25-year-old. And by the way, if that was your Russia hoax. This is the other hoax that you'll eventually come out of as well. But it's going to take a while until that comes out.
No, because this is with conviction. This is with life experience. That is just media bullshit.
It's a life with very few commitments. It's a different life. I'm gonna move on to the next story.
I'm still on this story.
You stay on this story, buddy, for the rest of your life. You're
I'm gonna be right here renting this story.
This is 3 times you've read it to the
All right,
story.
so let's get to the next story here. So Macron decides to file a lawsuit over claims France's first lady was born male. Okay. And Rob, is this the one with Candace on? This is the one with Candace. Can you go to my Twitter, please? If you go to the Twitter last tweet I have, which breaking story right there. Let's just read Nick Sorder's content and then show mine. We show more on this tweet, Rob. Okay, there you go. Breaking news: they have filed suit against Candace Owens, saying his wife is a man. The discovery in this case is going wild. Macron accuses Owens of publishing outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched fictions that new campaign of global humiliation and relentless bullying. The 250-page suit was just filed in Delaware. No response from Holmes yet. Then go back to my tweet, and I said, "This is a terrible move by Macron. They better 100% right. I can only imagine what discovery phase the lawsuit will look like. They may find something. So
They're gonna
you know
find
what I'm
something,
saying?
all right?
And is this Candace responding to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go for it.
Born a man and you will die a man. That's the point I'm making. So give us a sample. I'll send my doctors to take your blood, figure it out real quick. However you want to go about this. Hey, how about just giving us some pictures again of you growing up, raising your children? That would be fine. Whatever reason to phone, by the way. Like I said, we'll get to the bottom of it. Right? That is what discovery is for. I'm gonna ask a lot of questions. You're probably hoping, which this will go away, and at least we'll say we sued her. We'll say we went after her. She'll probably file for this to get dismissed. I'd like to make it to discovery. I think that we owe that to the world. Anyways, you guys, we are revolting against this. We're revolting against the perverts that run the world. I want to be very clear here. I count you among them. I think you're sick. I think you're disgusting. And I am fully prepared to take on this battle on behalf of the entire world. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. On behalf of the entire world, I will see you in court.
What a dumb. What that? Absolutely, what a dumb. Why not? There's nothing about this move. Adam, what are your thoughts on this move? What do you have? You want me? You want me to start with these guys?
I'll be in coach. And here's the thing that nobody's talking about. Her team didn't get the lawsuit. Like, whoever the PR, we find out who the PR team is. It's a PR team from here that deals with crisis management.
Yeah.
They're crisis management. So they went to the Financial Times with the story, Tommy, and they released it there. You know how Candace found out? Same way we found out. Online. So that's what they found out from Financial Times, and that tells you everything. This is never about truth. It's about headlines. Like, let's go back. What Candace did, the research, what we learned about her is when she wants a topic, she figures it out. Remember when she first started talking about this? Me and Pat walk into UFC, Tom, and she's just bouncing around in the back. And I'm like, Candace, love, give each other love. And then she's like, you're not going to believe this. And me and her sat there for 1 hour. And I was like, and Pat's talking to everybody. I forgot who was there. And then Pat looks at me and goes, what's wrong? And I go, Ron's wife is a dude. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? So she does the research. They hit the bee's nest, and they pissed off the wrong person. So they hired the American crisis firm, and that's the move. That's what you do when you just want people